Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Raw in Jericho! Hell yeah! Get some
You will rest in peace.
The whole world will acknowledge me.
Oh, what's up, addicts? How's it going? It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. I'm Matt. This is Nick. How's it going?
Perturbed, buddy, man. I can't find my bottle opener.
Oh, no, that's no keys by you?
No,
You're gonna have to use your teeth for the audience. There it is. It's funny. I started chuckling to myself during our intro when I got to Sal and the Undertaker goes, "Ooh. You will rest in peace." I chuckled because how we all left that group chat and we made a new one. He's just in there by himself. I actually, before I left it, Sal.
Sounds familiar, but
you left, Price left, they all left. I was like, all right, guys, I'm out too. And I was like, Sal, if you ever want to come back on the show, just reach out to me. And then I dipped. Probably nothing, but you know what? It's all good. It's all good because it's Wednesday. It's Addict Day. Get your fix in, and here we are to feed your addiction. And I'm going to start off with a poll that I put up on the X, as the kids are calling these days.
Nobody calls Twitter the X.
The X, no. I may be confusing it with a different type of X. X going to give it to you. All right, so the poll I put up was in relation, and I won't talk about sports for too much, but it's in relation to Shohei Ohtani, who signed a 10-year and a whopping $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it got me thinking, who within the wrestling world, past, present, would deserve that type of contract based off of their contributions? And on this poll, I threw up 3 guys and an option for you to, there you go. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And with the option to write in your choice, and Stone Cold Steve Austin led it with 60%, with the other and Hulk Hogan at 15.6%, and Shawn Michaels at 8.9%, which that shocked me a little bit, to be honest. Shawn Michaels being that low with the other 2 choices there. Because based off of longevity and match quality, I think Shawn Michaels wins over Austin and Hogan. So to see Shawn get that low, I was a little surprised by that. But I get why Austin won.
So here's the deal with Shawn, right? Shawn, if you were talking about baseball, Shawn is somebody like Craig Biggio, right? Craig Biggio has numbers that are comparable to Derek Jeter, but because he played in a small market, nobody gives a shit about Craig Biggio. Craig Biggio was an all-star at 3 positions. Robin Yount, also an MVP at 2 positions, played MVP center field and MVP shortstop. But Derek Jeter is more well-known and is a bigger draw simply because he played on a team that won and in a large market. So while those players are arguably better, they didn't get like a unanimous entry into the Hall of Fame. Neither did Jeter. He got 99.9%.
Right.
But at the same token, if you look at Jeter's numbers compared to Yount had 2 MVPs at 2 different positions. How could you compare the two? Yount had over 3,000 hits, same way. He just didn't win 5 World Series because his team didn't win 5 World Series. Had Robin Yount been on a team in like the Yankees or the Dodgers or something like that, then we're talking about him in a totally different conversation. And that's very similar to what happened with HBK, where he was a champion at a time where there was a lot of change going on in WWE, WCW. He facilitated that change with his friends, and argumentatively, Stone Cold Steve Austin never has his Austin 316 moment without Shawn first coining the term attitude.
Right. I agree.
So while we know that Shawn contributed so much to the wrestling world, most wrestling fans are completely unaware of not only the impact that he had on the wrestling community backstage beyond wrestling. And I just want to point out people like Shawn, people like Nash and Hall and Triple H, the guys that are getting paid today can thank them for that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's ironic too, because kind of like what Otani's doing, where he's deferring $68 million per year until the end of his contract.
Yeah,
I think
10 years after the end of his contract.
Right. So that's
20 years from now.
Right. So I feel like that's not to that extent, but I feel like that's going to be the new wave of contracts we're going to see in baseball due to Otani doing something like that. So it's the same way, they didn't even realize, but they're trailblazing for a whole new generation for how contracts are going to be set up and how you as an athlete get paid and your future is more secure. God forbid you get hurt.
But Austin, of the 3 posted, Austin is the biggest draw, or was the 100%. Biggest draw for the short time that he was. Because if you really look at somebody like Austin and The Rock, they were only on fire for maybe less than 10 years.
I think Austin was 97. He got hurt.
2004, something like
that. Austin was out after he was out with the broken neck that Owen gave him in 97. Yep. He was out for almost a year. And then in 2000, he was out for almost a year too, to where
somebody did it for The Rock.
Right. That's a huge chunk of time for a guy as popular as he is. And you think about it, Austin's run was 4 or 5 years maybe on top.
So much money made in that 5 years.
And just imagine if he didn't get hurt and if he was able to go.
And again, I'm not
2002, 2003.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm taking anything away from Stone Cold Steve Austin. I love Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think he's an amazing talent. I thought that he led the Attitude Era. Him and The Rock. And again, The Rock is another guy that only had about 6 years where he was dedicated to wrestling. And then once he found his foot in the door of Hollywood, he was done with wrestling. And you could sit there and say, well, he came back and he was done with wrestling. He came back just to try to be a friend. But ultimately he was done with wrestling.
Right.
Hogan, though, again, another guy that transcended wrestling, but stayed. People may not realize that Hogan in the 80s is The Rock now.
Yeah. And just what Hogan meant to both companies. He was able to carry both companies at 2 different time periods, which how many people could do that? I think he may actually be the only one who has done that, because he was the good guy in WWE, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, exercise every day. And then he went to WCW. That didn't work for a couple of years. And then, he joined up with Hall and Nash and then completely turned the wrestling world upside down. And him too, his low voting, just to me, it's like, I don't think people realize what Hogan contributed.
It's recency bias.
Yeah.
It's recency bias because to me, Hogan in the 80s, and then even in the 90s, but let's say Hogan in the 80s, wrestling is Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, Name me the other wrestler that has a movie in which he plays a wrestler and fights fucking Debo from Friday. Because Hogan, because Hogan had his own movie and he played a wrestler in Rocky, a fucking Oscar. Rocky 2 is not really Oscar award winning, or Rocky 3 rather is not Oscar award winning, but an Oscar award winning franchise, right? That's what it is. Like, he's in Rocky 3 as Thunderlips. That's a big deal. That's not a sneeze at.
It is a big deal, and something
that's
like
Andre
that
type shit,
and it gets outside eyes. Like, you may not know wrestling. You're like, who's this guy? Hogan? Oh, he's a wrestler. Oh, he was great in that movie. Let me check him out. And
that's the whole point,
right?
And that's the whole point. I would like to see that poll again if you put Andre in there.
Okay, if Hogan got so low due to recency, what do you think Andre's going to get? Some people might think Andre's the Big Show's dad at this rate.
Andre has his own HBO special, man. He's been dead for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's next level. Rocky, fucking, not Rocky. What's his face? The fucking Bruno Sammartino ain't got his own fucking HBO. He did a lot for wrestling too, but he ain't got his own HBO special. All right. Anybody want a peanut?
Sammartino.
What?
My mother-in-law loves Bruno Sammartino.
Anybody want the peanut? That's fucking Andre. Princess Bride. Come on, man.
Great movie.
Andre. How many times have you seen Andre's face? That sticker or that T-shirt that's all over. I don't think people even realize that's Andre's face. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think
it
so.
looks like it looks like almost like an ink blot test, like a Rorschach. Fuck, I gotta find a picture of it. I gotta find everybody always used to put it on T-shirts a lot.
I think I may know,
and I'm pretty sure it's called Obey. That's what it's called. Okay. I'm gonna show it to you right now, and you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, fucking everybody."
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Everybody used to have this. And
okay,
that's Andre.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, how popular was that?
You're right.
That was everywhere.
About that, actually.
That was everywhere. It looks like fucking Sting, but it's Andre.
It does look like Sting.
So like that's Andre, man. Like, he was very popular, even into times where he no longer existed and people didn't even realize it was him. So I think Andre would be because if it was me and it's 2023 and you run that test and everybody's in their prime, I'm picking Andre.
He was the 8th wonder of the world.
I've never seen somebody so big, man.
Andre. I feel like he was ahead of his time.
That's
Andre now.
Dude, think about it's same thing with China, right? If you threw China on that list, that's a conversation to be had. Because that's what we're trying to see with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill, rest in peace to her mom. Her mom passed away.
Yeah.
And that's what we're kind of seeing now, but it's been done now. At this point, it's already been done.
It's funny you mentioned China because Jericho had an interview and he said working with China was awful.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying she wasn't. She was a good wrestler. She's stiff. You don't want to grab her in certain places.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I understand that part, but at the same time, when she came through, nobody was anticipating her doing what she ended up doing. And had they, I used to be in the artillery, right?
Yeah.
And I was in the artillery when they finally let women join combat arms. And the first woman to join my battery as an artilleryman, of course there's growing pains because nobody knows where they can take a piss. Listen, when you're combat arms, you're in the field and you got to take a piss, you just whip it out and go where you think somebody's not going to lay down.
Right. Now
there's a woman in your battery, and now you got to be careful about where you whip things out because you don't want to expose yourself to somebody. Yeah. I'm not talking about offend somebody. I'm saying expose yourself to anyone because while you may not be modest, they may be modest, or you might be modest and you don't want the opposite sex to see you naked and shit like that, right? And there's growing pains that go along with that. When you're the first, there's growing pains to go along with. You don't know what to do or what to say, or neither does anybody else. But once the second person, the third person, the fourth person, now we're getting normalized, and you watch a match between Trish Stratus and Lita and Christian and Jericho, and it's a lot more fluid than Jericho versus China.
Right.
Now he's walked down that path already. He knows what he can get away with.
Yeah.
And that brings us to where we're going tonight. Armageddon, 2003.
Yes. Right. So give us a few minutes, 1 minute, minute and a half, not 3 minutes like Eric Bischoff, but we got a promo, and then we'll be right back with Armageddon 2003.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever, and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code ADDICTS to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
Ah, that gingerbread. Ooh, that is a beautiful looking championship. Beautiful. They honestly, they don't make them like that anymore, and that's very upsetting. Very upsetting. But the show is about Armageddon 2003, and this was one of these shorter pay-per-views. I think this clocked in about 2.5 hours, just a little above that.
I didn't think so.
It's
and I'll tell you why I it's all about quality. It's quality over quantity, right? If you have a 3-hour pay-per-view, right, but there's 50 matches, it goes by real fast.
Yeah.
The transitions in that pay-per-view were so long, right? Well, your first match, we're talking what, Booker T versus Big Show? Oh, Mark Henry. I'm sorry. I knew it was somebody big. Booker T took on Mark Henry to start. That was all right. And then you have Orton versus RVD for the Intercontinental Championship.
I agree with you. The flow of a show, if it's booked correctly, could either make it dreadfully long or it breezes right through. And to be honest, I didn't even realize how short it was until I was doing research on it. And because I didn't sit down and watch the whole thing. I flipped through it. I flipped to the good parts. And mainly for me, I love this pay-per-view because I'm a huge mark for Evolution. I love them as a group.
By the way, my least favorite thing about the entire pay-per-view was having to see Ric Flair's wrinkly old ass so goddamn much. I hate Ric Flair. Can't stand him. He should have retired in 1994.
But then he would have been in Evolution.
And I would have been okay with that. And I would have been
okay. During this time period, I didn't mind Ric Flair. Because I'll be honest, I didn't see much of him in WCW. I only really knew of Ric Flair from magazines and seeing YouTube wasn't really big then. And if it was, I wasn't using it.
Do you want to know I really didn't like Ric Flair? Because I did watch him in WCW, and he was the guy complaining about NWO. He was Bret Hart. Right? How Bret Hart was complaining about DX.
Yeah.
And how, DX is bad and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, fuck you, Bret Hart. You're such a square, bro. Be cool. For 10 seconds, be cool. And Bret Hart just couldn't do it because he's a loser. That was Ric Flair. Ric Flair he was the guy that everybody's we're moving into this. And he's like, I'm under contract and I still want my segment. And you're like, but you're sick. Nobody gives a shit about the Four Horsemen in 1997. Nobody cares about Arn Anderson, who looks like a gym teacher in 19. These guys, just look at the way he dressed. He dressed like your dad. You got Nash and Hall. They come out and they look like fucking gangsters with backward like bandanas tied in the front like Tupac.
Right.
You got Big Papa Pump coming out looking jacked as all hell. And then you got Grandpa Flair, who's gotten too much sun. His teeth are crooked. His skin is flabby. And he's wearing a beige suit.
Exactly. And it's like, who do you, and especially during that time period of wrestling to where the demographic was like 18 to like 29 or 30 or something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he looked like everybody's father.
Right? It's like,
and I did not want to watch it. Did not want to watch it.
Who do I want to chill with? And who do I want to hang out with? Hall and Nash and the NWO?
Or Grandpa Flair.
Yeah, or
even Hogan.
Or grandpas.
Hogan, who's even probably just as old as Flair, if not older.
He made it work.
They're around the same age, but Hogan adapted to appeal to a younger generation. And Flair has been Flair, the same Flair, for 40 years. And so by the time he got to WWE, I was like, this guy again? Grandpa's back. I was over it. I was so over it.
A lot. And the one good thing too about this pay-per-view is that a lot of the matches stemmed from Survivor Series. So like with Big Show, I did it too. With Mark Henry and Booker T, Booker was on Team Austin and Mark Henry was on Team Bischoff at Survivor Series. Team Bischoff ended up winning, which led to both being fired. So this match was like a grudge match, I guess you would say, from that. And you know, Booker was a big face at this time on the Raw brand, and you know, people wanted him to be world champion, which we'll talk about when we do a WrestleMania 19 show. But that match was, you know, it was what it was. It was an opening match. It started the crowd off hot, you know, with the face winning, the fan favorite Booker T. And then after that, they did a backstage segment, which they don't do them like this anymore. And I think that's what's missing from today's show is that while the stories happen in the ring, they also happen backstage. And I felt like this really set the tone for where they were going. It was Bischoff. He was upset that Mark Henry lost because Mark Henry was on his team at Survivor Series. And he was talking to Christian and Jericho, who were also on his team, hyping up the Battle of the Sexes match. And around this time, Jericho was like making his face turn to where he felt bad about the whole bet, which led to this match. Him and Christian, him pronouns pal, Jericho and Christian bet $1 Canadian that each one of them could get with, or AKA sleep with, that respective diva that they were going for. Jericho was going for Trish. Christian was going for Lita. And they bet $1 that one of them would close the deal first. And turns out, you know, the soap opera of it, Trish heard. She was upset. Led to this match. And Jericho didn't want to do it. You know, Jericho felt bad. And Christian was like, yeah, well, let's beat these bitches up. I'm for it. And it was Jericho was making his face turn. And then the segment got interrupted by the co-general manager, Mick Foley, making his way to the ring. During this time, Foley replaced Austin on TV, and he was trying to get a petition signed by all the fans for Austin to get his job back. And Foley was excited to be in town, and he brought out Stacy Keibler. Oh, I thought this is going to be weird.
What was the cameraman doing? I watched this segment. The fuck? The Stacy Keibler, one of the few females to go through the second rope.
Yeah.
And the cameraman, they switched to the what do they call it? The hard camera.
Yeah.
Why?
Hate it.
Why? Why in the world is Stacy Keibler bending over the second rope, and the camera and whoever's the production guy was like, we're going to go with the hard camera here while she's going in. We want to see her face. No, we don't. I thought it's going to sound weird, but I thought about you during this because
I'm like, oh, Nick is loving this because this is exactly what he wants them for. Stacy Keibler dressed in a cheerleading outfit that doesn't fit, doing cartwheels around the ring, which
and then Foley did cartwheels. It was great.
And why Mick Foley was so excited, he did a cartwheel, and then that was interrupted by, without a doubt, probably one of the greatest third generation superstars ever. Maybe just greatest superstar ever.
He's one of the greatest superstars. He is arguably. I'm not. Fuck it. He's better than The Rock. Fuck The Rock. All right. And The Rock's not third generation. His mother was adopted. He's first generation. He's second generation because his father was a wrestler, but his grandfather is not really his grandfather. Okay. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He's adopted. Doesn't count.
All right, go back to putting Orton over.
We're talking about fucking bloodline. He ain't part of it. Clearly. Anyway. He ain't no oos, all right? I promise. Anyway, Randy Orton, based on his dedication to the service of wrestling, right? And his achievements up to this point, is the greatest third generation wrestler of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
He's in my top 5. He's just so like.
I want to know who has dedicated as much time, energy, and success to the wrestling business as a third generation wrestler.
Right. I don't see him in any movies.
Shane.
Fucking Shane O'Mac, but Randy Orton came out. He interrupted Foley. He started putting himself over, saying he's the reason why Austin's not here because he won the Survivor Series match. And Mick Foley was scheduled to be the special guest referee for the Intercontinental Championship match between Orton and RVD. And then Foley's like, all right, Orton, you ready to go? Foley took his shirt off. He had the referee shirt on. First of all, Mick Foley in his suit is not kosher. It's just not
respectable.
It's not respectable. And I get it. Listen, I'm a little on the hefty side. I don't like wearing button downs, tucking in of the pant. I don't like that. I'm not comfortable. It's not comfortable at all. Foley looked uncomfortable. So he was more than happy to take that button down, that Mankind button down off. And underneath, he had a referee shirt. He said, Orton, you're here. RVD, get out here. Let's get this Intercontinental match going. And I think it was match of the night. This was the one match that I actually watched today while I was getting ready for the show. He just makes it look so easy, Orton. And he was pushed in a way to where it wasn't like forced down your throat. I know you may think, well, he was in Evolution, he was on Raw, he was on TV every week. Yeah, but it wasn't like a John Cena face, like with the way he was pushed down our throat. Orton was like, it was all natural. He had the music, he had the look.
Honestly,
he was cocky attitude.
He was but the fact that he was with Evolution helped him. Because he wasn't the face of he wasn't shoved down our throats. He was the little buddy. He's what X-Pac could have been if X-Pac could come up with a gimmick besides the Generation X.
X-Pac. I love the X-Pac.
He's what Billy Gunn was supposed to end up being.
Yeah. I could see that.
Right? Like Billy Gunn was supposed to be Orton. Right? He was supposed to break away from DX, get an Intercontinental Championship belt. Mind you, for those of you who don't know, the Intercontinental Championship is the number 2 belt in the company. The guy who's on his way, right? We think about great Intercontinental champions. We're talking about fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
That was the stepping stone.
Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. I think even Diesel had the Intercontinental belt for a second.
Back before it became a prop by Vince Russo, if you won the Intercontinental Championship, you are on pace to win the WWE title.
Number 2.
Yeah. And that was like the test. Like, I'm trying to think of when. So when The Rock, I want to say probably Ken Shamrock.
I was actually I must have put that into your brain because in my head I was like Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. He was IC champ, but was never WWE champion. I think he may have been the first one to break that mold, I want to say, to where it was like, no, you're right, because Marty Jannetty wasn't. We're all right, Razor. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's right there. It's looking right at me. Yeah.
By the way, that belt has a toothpick holder in it.
Shame on me. Which belt you bringing to the bachelor party?
Wow. That's a question. I might need a new belt.
Oh, I excited him so much that he didn't know what to do. He freaked out. He goes, "What belt am I going to bring?" He's like, I gotta get out of here. And he's back.
I got so excited. You know what? Fuck, man. It's a lot of money. Shit, but I really want one. I'm looking at the belt that I want right now.
Which one?
And I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
If I have it, you'll know. If I don't, you'll know.
Which one? It's expensive.
But I
could probably take a gander and look.
I'm looking at the belt that I want right now, and it's a throwback. That I really, really dig it. For one very specific reason, but I don't know if you'll ever understand why. It's specific to me. I don't think anybody else has this problem. But do you have would you take a shot in the dark about which belt I'm going to bring? I would get.
You know what? You said dig it, so I don't know if that was like a macho man. You like, I really dig it. And like the way you said it, I was expecting like a Slim Jim to snap in the background.
No, definitely not a macho man. No,
I would have to take a look at the Fanatics website and see. I don't know.
I hate Fanatics. I think Fanatics is the worst thing that ever happened to any sport at all. And they make the cheapest, most garbage shit I've ever encountered.
I'm annoyed that WWE Shop is like through Fanatics.
Me too.
So like
I am very annoyed through it.
That like really annoys me.
By the way, the football belts are really overrated. They don't look good at all.
They're terrible. I've seen better fantasy football championship belts than those.
Yeah. But again, the modern belts that they have now for WWE are not nice. I think I like the World Heavyweight Champion belt. That I understand what they were going for there. I get it. I kind of dig it.
I don't like the logo in the middle.
I don't like the logo in the middle either. The Undisputed belt is fucking weak. The Undisputed belt is the same belt as the previous belt and the previous belt before that. And the SmackDown and Raw belts, they're all the same fucking belt in different colors.
I like the premise of the Universal title being gold. That I like. It's I get what they're doing, but what they should do is instead of, if you're going to give these fan belts to these teams that win championships, okay, have those. But the main reason why the WWE title,
the only fan belt logo, the only fan belt I like is the Yankee one.
Yeah, but like I mean,
because
I'm not gonna
because the leather itself is pinstriped. It's not a defaulted belt that they just put Yankee logos on. It's almost like the custom belts like that, where it's specific to that team. Everything about it is specific to the team. The belt is shaped like home plate. The metal is, I mean, I'll show it to you right now. They have the Frizzy at Yankee Stadium on it at the top.
That is nice. Nice.
The leather is pinstriped.
That's actually okay. That's nice. I mean, not $550 nice, but that's
I wouldn't get it because it's $550.
Yeah,
but it's nice, and I would get it if I had $550. I don't have that money to throw away. I'm getting married, for Christ's sake. Show some class, people. Jesus Christ. But
$550, and you're only getting $16.50 in fan cash. Like, fuck Fanatics. Like, are they kidding? That's crazy.
But the thing that I appreciate about that Yankee belt is it doesn't look like the Red Sox belt.
It doesn't.
Like, here's the Red Sox belt. Other than that, they're similar shapes, but the cut is different. Like, it's a similar shape. But it doesn't necessarily look like it to the point where you're just like, really, dude, all you did was change the logo. Even the leather is different.
I like that it's different. I like that it's different. I don't know why they didn't do that with football, but I like that it's different.
I'll give you even this. Do you see right here to the right of it? First of all, the Yankee belt is home plate, whereas the Red Sox belt is a square. The Yankee belt doesn't.
Sorry, Pop. That's funny.
We're sorry about that, bud. We were just explaining. We were talking about belts because obviously I'm doing my bachelor party, and just to catch you up, we were talking about belts, and he goes, "Are you bringing a belt to the bachelor party?" And I was like, "Ooh, I might, but it'd be the belt that I really want." And he was trying to figure out what belt I really want, despite the fact that I'm probably too poor to afford the belt that I really want because I'm paying for a wedding after all. So we were just kind of going over like how the NFL belts look like absolute dog shit because they all look the same. Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. They all look the same, and all they do is change the logos. That's all they do is change the logos. And it's like, all right, so there's nothing interesting about it. There is no price on there that I'm willing to pay because there's nothing interesting about that. All they did was change the friggin' logo. It's kind of like this one. They had these MLB ones, and they're garbage because they all look the same. And I'm just like, really? We did that? It's just they all look like that. There's nothing interesting about that. No. All they did was change the color of the belt and change the logo in the middle. But if you could figure out what I want to bring to that would be interesting. I'd be like, wow, how did he get that? That's weird.
All right. Is it like the belts you have behind you to where there's
it's not a signature series. It is not a signature series.
Okay, then I am good. I'm gonna take a look.
But I really do dig the signature series belts, which is why I have two of them. There's one signature series belt that I would love to have, but is so expensive that I would never ever buy it. And I'll tell you right now, it's the Shawn Michaels belt.
The one with the hearts.
The heart, Shawn Michaels.
That's why I was asking if it was going to be the signature series or just a regular championship.
No, the Shawn Michaels Legacy Championship belt is $524, and that's discounted from $749. I am not buying that shit. It is too expensive.
It's crazy. It would have to be autographed.
Yeah, if it were autographed, then we're having a conversation.
Yeah,
we're gonna chat about it. Probably not though, because I love Sean, but not that much.
He doesn't love you that much.
That's what it is. Sean doesn't. I love Sean. Sean doesn't. But does Sean love me? That's the question.
You should invite him to your wedding.
I'm already inviting Pat McAfee because he already paid for his plate.
That's good. You should.
I don't know if I have room for Sean. I'm gonna try though.
Bro, just send it to the Performance Center.
I'm a Catholic. He might dig it just because he's Christian and we're close.
Right. Well, worst case, he sends you a gift. Hey, brother, sorry, can't make it. Here's that signature series belt you wanted.
God damn, if he sent me that legacy belt, I'd lose my goddamn mind.
That'd be great. But speaking of legacy, before he was in Legacy, he was in Evolution. And before he was a world champion, he was Intercontinental champion. And we're talking about the legend killer, Randy Orton. Randy Orton defeated RVD at Armageddon in 2003. And what I thought was the match of the night.
It was a great match.
Actually, tomorrow is the anniversary of Armageddon 2003. So it's 20 years ago. Crazy. Oh, my back.
Orton looked so different. He was so on juice back then. Looked great.
I know. Oh, he's definitely doing something now.
Oh, yeah. He might be doing testosterone replacement, which is fine. There's nothing illegal about that. You're getting it done through a doctor.
Good for him, though. He's jacked. He looks great. And when he won the Intercontinental title, I was very excited because at that time, he was my favorite. I loved Evolution, the theme song, his look, his attitude. I just felt that he was going to go places. I didn't think, 14-time world champion places, but he's definitely exceeded expectations, I think, from his first Intercontinental title win. which is 20 years ago to tomorrow. And RVD sold the shit out of that RKO. RVD was great at just like contorting his body and his neck.
He went straight down.
Even the DDT, Orton's middle rope DDT, when he hit that, RVD like spiked. It was huge Orton fan. And I think maybe that's why I wanted to talk about this pay-per-view, because Orton to me is top 5.
Is this where you fell in love with Orton?
Oh, great. Here we go.
Was it?
Oh, I thought you were pulling something up. That's why I was like,
I am.
The moment
is this where you fell in love with Orton?
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
Around the time he joined Evolution. Like once he was in Evolution and I felt he was going to be the guy is when I was like, yeah, I'm an Orton fan. It's funny. Around this time, I was getting work done in my house, and I had wrestling posters up of the Divas, and the guys working on were like, "Oh, you're a wrestling fan?" I'm like, "Yeah, who do you like?" I'm like, "Oh, I like Cena, I like Orton," and I told them, I'm like, by 2004, by the end of 2004, both of them will be world champions. SummerSlam 04, Orton won the world title. And I was off a few months with Cena. He won at Mania in 05. But the future was so bright at that point. And Orton here it propelled him, I think, to the next level of where he was going. And he only held the Intercontinental title that one time. I think his reign was almost 8-9 months. But he had a great reign around that time. And the next match
here's that DDT that RVD sold. We'll show that real quick. That's a tough DDT.
Yeah, that's
RKO's coming up right now.
Yeah. Fully upset he had to count to 3.
That's a big sell, man. And you're right.
Yeah.
RVD was a heck of a salesman.
Yep. He was one of a kind. And another one of a kind was the Battle of the Sexes. You had former tag team champions Christian and Chris Jericho versus arguably two of the biggest females in all of wrestling, Lita and Trish Stratus. And I mean, this match, it was what it was. I feel like the whole purpose of it was to get Jericho to turn face, Christian to turn heel. And then we all know what Trish did at WrestleMania 20. So this match was didn't care for it.
I sat there the whole match. Because they showed the highlights of what led up to the match. And I sat there thinking, fuck, Jericho got to kiss Trish.
Right? Like, oh, tough.
And then further into the match, I'm going, damn, she had a round ass.
Yeah, Trish. Oh, Trish. One of my, I guess, wrestling highlights as a fan was meeting Trish Stratus in the airport in New Orleans after WrestleMania 34. I think I've told you about this.
You tell me about fucking CM Punk every goddamn day, but fucking Trish Stratus, no. I've never heard this.
All right. Story time. Story time with Matt O'Day, baby. After WrestleMania, it was me, Tom, and Bean. I originally wanted to go to New Orleans. Huh?
Tom Young?
Yeah, Tom Young.
Fuck, Tom Young got to meet Trish Stratus, but I didn't.
No. They're pussy. They didn't go up to her. I did. So we go to Mania. It was an awesome time. We didn't do anything else after. Like, we didn't do Raw or anything. So we're leaving Monday. We're in the airport. Dude, Bubba Ray and Velvet Sky. You remember Velvet Sky, right?
Fucking
Yeah. I went up to them. I said, "What's up?" Took a picture with them.
Oh, Velvet Sky was in WWE because I remember her in TNA, but I don't remember her in fucking WWE.
No, she wasn't, but she was dating Bubba Ray. They were together for a long time.
Okay.
So I met her. I met drunk Ric Flair, who was going to the fucking airport bar
to go sexually assault some woman, probably.
Probably.
Bag that he is.
I met Mean Gene. Rest in peace.
Gene!
He was awesome. Let me tell you. I had on a Raw's War shirt. And then I went up to him like, hey, Mean Gene, do you mind if I take a picture with you, if that's okay? He looked at me and goes, what, you work for us and you want a picture? I'm like, it would be great if I worked for you, but I don't. He goes, I'm pretty sure I saw you working in the back one time. I'm like, listen, if you want to put a good word in for me, I'm for it. But unfortunately, I'm just a big fan. So he was cool. Took a picture with him.
Rest in peace, me.
Down, waiting for the plane. And then I see Trish Stratus walking by. I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Got up. I was like not stalking her, but like I was like looking. I'm like, where'd she go? Then I see her in the bar talking to Ric Flair. So I was like, oh shit, this is gonna take a while. So I sat back down, waited like 5 minutes, walked back. I saw that she wasn't talking to Flair, and then she walked into like.
He probably showed his penis to her, and she doesn't want to talk to him.
No, she didn't. She definitely doesn't. She walked into like one of those thrift stores in the mall, within the airport, and I was like, "Fuck it, let me go."
I'm starting to think that Matt doesn't know what a thrift store is.
It was. I said the wrong thing.
Convenience.
It was like candles and like bath bombs and shit. So I went in and I go, "Hey Trish, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. I'm a huge fan. I'm like, I'm a little nervous, but do you mind if I take a picture with you?" She's like, "Oh, sure." Bro, she had a bath bomb in her hand. That bath bomb she purchased, she thought of me when she used it. She goes, that kid in the airport, adorable. Let me pop this in. Dude, so I have the selfie up. You like that, right? I have the selfie up. I'm just snapping away. Her hands on my shoulder. I'm in heaven. What did Steve and Tom do? Nothing. They did nothing. They sat there while I went and made my rounds around the airport saying hello to everybody. But Trish, oh, gorgeous in person. Absolutely. And what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Armageddon. Yeah, sorry, Trish Stratus. This match was whatever.
So Orton wins the thing. We're moving on. It's the battle of the sexes. I didn't think it was a bad match. I like the drama between Jericho and Trish because at the time kayfabe was still legit, and you were kind of sitting there going like, "Oh my god, are they in love? They might be in love."
Right. There was no Twitter or anything like that to spoil these storylines.
No, definitely not. We didn't know that Jericho was married, and so is Trish, to a very mid guy. I don't know why Trish is married to that guy, but I would totally be in awesome shape if I was married to Trish Stratus.
Right? Good old Trish. And then the next match is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels versus Batista.
That had a good build-up.
Yeah, it did, and I thought this match was good too. You know, I don't think this was a bad match.
It's Shawn. When has Shawn had a bad match?
Right, you're right.
And he puts over, he doesn't put over, but he put over Batista previously. But Shawn comes out victorious at the end of this match. Unfortunately for all of us, we had to see Ric Flair's wrinkly old ass out there again.
And I like the story of the match. Batista dominated the match. Batista was going for the Batista bomb. Shawn countered, hit a fast, sweet chin music, fell on Batista. Shawn's shoulders were also down too, but we won't talk about that. Shawn covers Batista 1, 2, 3. Batista's pissed off backstage after the match. Ric Flair goes, I have an idea. Follow me. And then we turn into Tag Team Turmoil, which only had one legitimate tag team, and that were the Dudley Boys. I feel like all the other tag teams were like tag teams thrown together.
No, La Resistance is a real tag team. It's just not
they
a good
were in that match, right? Because I fast
They
forward.
were. So it started off with Hurricane Helms and Rosie. I don't remember Rosie's name, Captain Chronic or something like that at the time.
It was SHIT, Superhero in Training.
There you go.
So they were like a legit tag team that they were gimmicked to be a tag team.
Very, very poorly gimmicked. And then I didn't even know that Jindrak and Lance Cade tag team, but I guess that they came out of OVW like that as Garrison Cade as opposed to Lance Cade. Rest in peace. Yeah. Val Venus and Lance Storm, which kind of seemed thrown together. It reminded me. It reminded me of The Godfather when he took Mark Henry or D'Lo. When he took D'Lo under his wing and he was his assistant pimp.
Yeah.
And they both walked out with girls on their arms, but like D'Lo didn't deserve it. Then obviously the Dudley Boys, and then Test and Scott Steiner, which I was like, when the fuck did that happen?
Scott Steiner's run in WWE needs to be examined because him and Goldberg. Yeah. I know how you feel about Goldberg, but
fuck Goldberg.
Right, but the name of Goldberg right at that time, it was still hot from WCW, and it was
Goldberg doesn't respect wrestling, and I don't respect Goldberg. That's what it comes down to.
We'll get to Bill in a second.
And then go with the finish. There
we go. Dudley Boys win the match. They win Tag Team Turmoil. Their music hits. They're with the belts. They're beat the fuck in the ring from dealing with the previous teams before. And then you hear, I'm back and better than ever. Bischoff comes out and says, you can only win Tag Team Turmoil by defeating all the teams. And there's still one more team. Cue Evolution's music. Cue Ric Flair's flabby old man titties. They come down to the ring. Batista just power bombs the living shit out of Devon Dudley. And they win the tag team titles for 3 out of the 4 members of Evolution to hold gold. And then we get into the women's title match, which you said the funniest fucking thing before we filmed.
Listen, it was Molly Holly versus Ivory. And I knew ain't nobody getting naked in that match, so I just fucking skipped it.
Oh, to be honest, I forgot Ivory was even around in 2003.
Listen, Molly Holly and Ivory were the 2 most respectable female wrestlers at that time. You knew you weren't going to see anything good other than wrestling, and it wasn't impressive wrestling. It never is, because neither one of them is like 6'5" or super fast or doing super backflips. Like Lita was amazing because she did moonsaults, but if you really think about it, a moonsault's not really that impressive. I do it into the pool all the time. I'm 36 years old and fat and out of shape.
It's impressive when your thong is like
that's it. Like yeah. I watched that Lita Trish versus Christian and Jericho match, and I was like, wait, why is she dressed like the fucking Tomb Raider?
Yeah, like the thong got you over. Like bring the thong back.
Absolutely.
But the main event, which to me was odd, it was an odd triple threat. It was Kane versus Triple H versus Goldberg, who was the champion. And you kind of had a feeling what was going to happen with this match. It wasn't the best of triple threat matches. You know, it wasn't the best wrestling match per se, but you know, with a triple threat match, there's no disqualification. Evolution got involved toward the end of the match. Kane hit a monstrous choke slam on Goldberg. Batista yanks Kane out of the ring. Triple H crawls in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Pins Goldberg, which Goldberg was probably thrilled about. And Evolution had all of the gold, and they dominated Raw for months on in after that. And to me, I think I like when the groups have all the gold. I like when a faction just runs the show. They have the world title, they have the mid title, and they have the tag titles. It just that's a dominant faction at that point. And that's what Evolution was. They were the modern day Four Horsemen, but cooler.
Flair was there, so clearly it wasn't that cool.
Well, Orton, Batista, Triple H, they
brought their dad to the show.
Yeah, they're like, all right, Dad. They're drunk uncle.
Yeah, their drunk uncle who's going to expose himself to their girlfriends.
TJ letting us know Gilbert over Goldberg 100%. Actually, funny that you say that. The fantasy football league that I run, one of the guys who's in the league is a wrestling fan. And what I would do is every week for the person that I'm playing, I would film like a minute and a half promo shitting on them, wrestling related. And what this guy did, Zach, he went on like Cameo or something, and he paid for a Gilbert promo to roast me. And it was one of the funniest things ever. I think if I find it, I'll post it on the good old X.
You absolutely have to fucking post it on Twitter.
I have to find it.
I don't know what the fuck X is, but yeah, Twitter has to.
Yeah, I'll post it on Twitter. And TJ dropping what I think our next show should be, and we could get everybody in on this.
Run that fucking poll.
Hell yeah. Would it be inappropriate to have a which diva should have done Playboy debate?
No, not at all. And the answer is Trish. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Give me 3 others besides Trish.
Trish, Molly Holly, because I've never seen an ounce of her, and I'm curious.
Okay.
Lita.
Okay.
And let me think. Ooh, I wanted to say Terry, but I've seen some of Terry. I've seen some of Terry.
What about Deborah?
Deborah has no ass at all. She suffers from no ass at all, and it's Austin's ex-wife. It feels weird. Fucking Eddie Guerrero's wife. I'm just kidding. Stacy Keibler. Thank you, TJ.
Yeah, but she ain't got no titties.
That's true, TJ. That's true. TJ said Stacy Keibler. I've got question marks about Stacy as well. Damn, man. I'm trying to think. Ooh,
I'm trying to.
That's tough, man. That's tough. I've seen everybody else naked.
I'm blanking, but there's definitely someone that we're forgetting.
There's somebody that we're not thinking of.
Just pop up.
Anybody from WCW that we're overlooking?
Ooh, Kelly.
Oh,
Kelly.
How about
nice?
Nitty?
You got to say it twice.
I'm reaching into the bank. That's first of all. That's Michelle McCool. I'm sorry, Kelly. Okay, how about Nydia?
Yeah.
Wow, right?
She was raunchy, but like, all right,
how about ODB?
No.
I don't care what anybody says. ODB's hot. All right.
Maybe because she do got some nice titties. So.
I just feel like she's always drinking and stuff like that.
Drinking.
So just I love ODB, but whatever. And then she calls herself ODB. What was that, one dirty bitch?
I think so, yeah.
I just thought she was so cool.
Bailey's got a booty. That's what I've been. But
Stephanie McMahon absolutely counts.
Oh,
that's a W.
There it is. That's.
Clap it up for that man.
How?
I think that's how we end it, Matthew.
Yeah.
That's the poll. Run the poll. Lita, Trish, Stephanie McMahon, and Molly Holly.
I want Molly Holly to win.
So here's the deal, right? There used to be a picture that circulated about Stephanie McMahon, like when she was younger, much younger, and they were like, "This is her doing a wet T-shirt contest," and I was like, "Is that real?"
Yes, I remember seeing that.
And I don't think it's real. It could be conceivably. I mean, I don't think it's real.
It's as real as her and Macho Man fucking.
Like I'll show the picture real quick. I don't think it's real, but I guess we'll find out. And here's the picture. I don't think it's her, but we'll see.
Oh man, I would like it to be.
I would like it to be, but it's not. But we're running out of time.
We are. So that's the next poll. I'll pop that up. Let's see how many people get triggered and offended. I'm actually good. I hope it's a lot. I hope I get a lot of blocks because I'm posting a poll like that. But I hope you see it. I hope you stay tuned. The cream of the crop. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Macho Madness.
Thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate it. Take care and peace out.